Hi, everybody. It's me, Charles Norm from Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of AthleticSOS. It is a software that allows you, if you have a teenage or a high school level athlete and they're trying to get an athletic scholarship, you want to use our software. It's going to take their academic information, the sport they play, the level they believe they can play at the collegiate level, and it's going to show them all the schools that they're academically qualified to attend that have their sport and offer scholarships at all the different levels, NCAA, Divisions 1 through 3, in AIA, and even junior colleges that offer money to go to the school. And we let you use it at absolutely no cost. There's no tricks. I'm not selling your information. There's nothing tricky going on there. So please, down below, I give you the code and I give you the instructions for how to use the code. Please use it. We're growing ridiculously. That's because I've made some partnerships now. But this one that I do in the park is the only other way you will find out, unless I do a speech somewhere for you or I attend something. This is the only way you're going to find out what that code is. We don't advertise anywhere. We don't do any of that stuff. We just partner with other people that already have the kids in their programs, and then we go out and we show them how to use the software, and we kind of work that way. That's been working the best for us. But this one's for me. This is where I get to come in and do things like I'm going to do today. And so today, I'm going to try to convince you that enrolling your kid in sports is more valuable than enrolling them in school. And so I get to do these things, and it's not a troll, it's not a gaslight. It's absolutely, I think by the end of this, you will agree with me at least a little. So just bear with me for a minute here. And so our whole goal, remember, our whole goal is to leverage sports, your kids' athletic ability. And even if they don't have really great athletic ability, if they start out from 5 to 9, and then we switch to 10 to 12, and then we go from 13 and up, which is 13 to 17, which is their high school years, right? So that 5 to 9, we're all in that discovery mode, which sport they can play the best, which one fits them, that they go out there and it just sort of fits them. There's some other sports that they can get better at as time goes on. And then when they get 10 to 12, we want to focus. That's our focus period. And then when 13 to 17, we're all about positioning. That is the greatest thing you can do for the rest of your life, is learn how to position yourself for what you want to do next. How can I say that enrolling your kid in sports is more valuable than enrolling them in school? Because only in sports, and it's the simplest thing in the world, is that you're there. When you enroll your kid in sports, you're at practice, you're at the games, you're post-game, you're seeing how they react to stuff. You can see when your kid's real little, how athletic are they? Do they stand back? Are they are they with their peers? Are they a leader? Are they a follower? Or are they offset from everybody else? Are they a little bit off, strange, or something like that? All of these things, they're all good stuff, but you just got to know your kid is different. So no one's going to be exactly the same thing always, but you're trying to get a feel for who your kid is. And all this goes back to me to the future. I see it. I'm in technology. I go everywhere. I go to college lectures. I go to all kind of exhibits and expos and conferences, because I want to find out what's coming in what I'm doing, but youth sports in particular, but the technology around it and the psychology around it. What's coming next? How do you get your kids prepared? That's what all we're doing over here. My company's called Sports Solutions. AthleticSOS is just one piece of it. So what I'm trying to get you guys to do as the parents is, you're going to have to switch. Your kids are not going to play life by the same rules everybody else that you did, the people before you. I don't care if you're a millennial, Gen Z, you're grandparent now, right? You're a baby boomer, whatever you are in that world. If you have kids and they're coming up, they are not going to play by the same rules. And the rules they are going to play by are cooperative rules. They're not going to be able to go out on their own. And the bad part about all of this is, and I guess it's a good part too, is it's going to look like our education system is still based on those rules. So they're going to teach your kid how to get good grades, pay attention, hold hands, stay in straight lines, all of the things that you do in school to make you a great worker, a great employee. Those things will still be in place for them, because the education system is not going to change as fast. Your kid's going to move through like that. So right in the next 17 to 15 years, it's all the same stuff, right? So, but when they get out, that's when it's going to change on them. And so they need to be in position already, and it's all going to be about cooperatives. It's all going to be about having a network already in place, and so we need to get them there. So we need to find out who they are, and then the other thing is how valuable you are to that group. your network. Are you valuable to that group? And we think we have it now, right? You go to work, the more valuable you are, the higher you go. But that's not how it works right now. The way it works right now is who can take the test the best, who's the most personable, who has a family with the network already, that you can move up. It has nothing to do basically with merit the way it is. We say it is, but we know it's not the same thing. Even the college you get into sometimes is based on what your family did previously, or who you know, or somebody works there, or somebody knows you, somebody likes you. That's going to move away. It's not going to be as valuable as it was before. But if you can learn how to make that group and be valuable to that group, then you can come in with your talents, but at the same time, they're going to have to work. So let's get back to this a little bit. So if your kid is playing sport, you can see how they react physically. Are they super athletic? Do they kind of stand back a little bit, but or are they attackers? Are they just more in a defensive mode? Do they try not to make mistakes all the time? So they're really careful with everything, and that takes them off, because sports is about that little half an inch or that half a second or that half a millisecond makes the difference. So their confidence level, what do they need to work on? How do they act in timeouts? How do they act? Do they get to play a lot? Maybe they're not that good and the other kids are playing. Do they pay attention? Are they part of the team? Are they out in the middle of the field or the soccer field kicking the grass instead of looking at where the ball's going? Is their attention span? How is it? Or do they even want to be there? Maybe you got them in the wrong sport, or maybe they just need to pay more attention. How do they react when they come off the field? Do people go, oh, when your kid comes up to bat? All of those things are things that you can see in real life. When your kid goes to school, you don't see any of that. You get up in the morning, you're trying to get them ready for school, right? So you're barking orders out, hey, let's get your book bag, let's brush your teeth, let's wash your face, let's put your clothes on, let's come downstairs, maybe get something to eat, or we're going to stop and get something to eat. I need to get you in the car, or we need to go ahead and walk over here, and I'm just moving you. And when you pick them back up, or you get them back home, you're doing the same thing in reverse. You're getting them ready for bed. Yeah, they got to eat dinner and they got to take a bath, and maybe you're going to read a story to them, but they got to get prepared to go to sleep so we can start tomorrow, the next day. But you don't see that middle part of the day. You don't see any of that. You see that with sports. You're there. And I don't care what anybody says about music or art or theater or science or math or STEM or whatever else you got them doing. All of that's cool. But only sports is there somebody physically trying to challenge them and prevent them from being successful. You don't get that in anything else. And so those are the kind of things that change, that you really see who somebody is when they have to go up against another human being that's actually trying to stop them. And so I don't know anywhere else but sports, except for, the military or something like that. We're not doing that. But that is what the difference is. That's why sports is so important. Even if you don't think it's important for your kid in their future and it's kind of silly and, sports is just frivolous, all that kind of stuff. No, you're wrong. They're challenging somebody physically. Somebody is physically trying to stop them or physically attacking them, whatever, depending on what the sport is. And it doesn't have to mean that, they're playing football or basketball or something like that. They can be volleyball, but the person is trying to defeat them. And nothing else in life is like that. Yeah, they have competitors and it's a spelling bee or a math thing, or they're trying to do a competition or they're working on something. Yeah, they could be in a contest for that. But that person is just trying to win also. They're not trying to necessarily defeat your kid. Your kid is on the thing. It's not the same thing, and your kid knows that. This person doesn't have malice towards me. When you're playing sports, maybe it's not malice, maybe I'm going too far, but they want to defeat you. They want to see you defeated. So whether it's a team, it's an individual sport, whatever it is, you can also see how your kid is able to calm down. If they're doing something like archery or shooting or bowling, they're the only ones there at that moment. And so they have to calm themselves down. They see everything. They know what everybody's score is, what everybody's time is in track and field. They know that kid next to them is a little bit faster than them. They need to get off to a better start if they're running track. All those little things, or they know when someone's ahead of them and they need to really nail this thing. Can they show up? Can they do that at that moment? That's a key moment for them. You only get this one more chance, right? And you need to catch that person. And maybe you need some help from that other person, and maybe they falter at the end. Can your kid push through? You're sitting there and you're watching your kid perform. And this is where I think the biggest thing that we can do as parents is we can figure out how to meet with our kid if things go right or if they go wrong as we come home. This is our test for us as parents. Can we be encouraging even when things are discouraging? Or can we be a little more definitive if our kid is on that field, but they're not pulling their weight and the team needs them to pull their weight? Can we get our kid to understand, hey, you got to show up, but without hollering at them, without bringing them down? Maybe they don't even want to be there. And you can convey to your kid, your own kid, hey, I get it. This may not be your sport, but we're going to finish out this season. because that's why we came here. But I want you to at least improve. But the number one thing is you gotta show up for your teammates. You got to show up for your coach, everybody else. And it's not that hard to do. And this is what's going to help them later in life. And then the bigger piece is that social piece. Can you figure out where your kid fits in? Well, don't force them. Everybody wants their kid to be the cool kid, but your kid doesn't have to be the cool kid. Your kid just has to hold their own. They have to have a sense of who they are. And it doesn't always happen at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It may not happen till 10 to 12 where they find who they are. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to make sure we take those skill sets that they do have just as a kid and their interest, and we're going to explode on that. We're going to let them get around whatever that is as much as possible. We're going to take them to different things. We're going to use sports as a leverage. Hey, we're going to go be playing over here in this area. I know they have this aquarium, or I know they have this. You're going to help them find who they are and what they might be interested in. And that is where our journey, remember that parallel journey I always talk about? Yeah, we're playing sports. We got to practice. We got to get training. We got to do all that stuff. And we're trying to find a sport that you just naturally fit. And I believe every single kid, there is a sport that they fit. There's almost 30 sports that you can get athletic scholarships for, and there's sports outside of that. But we're just trying to find where they fit, where they can walk out there and they just naturally attach to a sport. And everybody has one. In my opinion, they do. And I could be wrong when I say everybody, not 100%, okay? Maybe there's some kids it's just not their thing. But there's something competitive they can do physically, that they can get into, and they're really good at it. We just don't give them a chance to try them on. I'm trying to fix that myself, but I'm going to need some money to do that. And so those are sort of the things that I think make the argument that school, as much as we need school, I'm not saying you don't need school, you don't need an education, but our kids, you've got a teacher and you've got 30 plus kids. And I will guarantee you that at least, let's say about 8 of those kids are A students. They get it. School was made for them. They understand it. The parents have emphasized everything, and they sit there and they're great. And then you've got another 8 on the back end that just don't get it. Maybe they just not paying attention. Maybe they're antsy. Maybe they just aren't interested. Maybe, nobody's emphasized it for them. And so they're going to struggle a little bit. And most of the kids are sitting in the middle, right? And so those are so you got your straight A kids, you got your D, C minus D, maybe even F on some classes kids. And then you got everybody else sitting in the middle. And the teacher, especially for those middle kids, is not going to pay attention. They're not causing trouble, so they're not going to come to the counselor's office. They're not going to get any tutoring, nothing. They're just going to kind of make it. And you may get on their case, and maybe they'll do a little bit better or whatever, but your kid's kind of in the middle. And so you don't get to see how they interact with everybody at lunch. You don't see them at recess. You don't see them, all of these different things. You never get to see that. You're just not there. And so that is the way I think that sports enrollment is better, or I won't say better, but more valuable than them going to school. You're enrolling them in school because you're there. You can see it. Now, whether or not you pay attention, I can't do anything about. Whether or not you act on what you're seeing, I can't do anything about that. But I'm hoping that's who you are. And I know how hard it is being a parent nowadays. You're looking at the prices of everything. You got to go to work. You got all this pressure on you. Now you got these kids that need all these activities, and they want to go here and do there. You just want to come home on the weekend and rest, or in the middle of the week they haven't practiced. And you got a couple of kids, and you got to go to different practices, and you and your spouse or your partner or whatever kind of split these duties up. You guys don't get any time together. And I get it. I already went through all this. You still have to do it. You're trying to put that kid on a path to something, to have a remarkable life. That's really our whole goal here at Sports Solutions. How do we leverage sports to ensure that our kids have a remarkable life? It is the best way to do it, in my opinion, because you're getting both the physical, the kid is learning who they are, where they fit in the hierarchy, where do they want to be in that hierarchy, what kind of, can they accept challenges, can they accept defeat, can they accept the win graciously, but can they be valuable to the group or to the organization, or can they socially mix in and become a part of a group and be okay with it? All of those little things, that's making them who they are. And once you find out who your kid is, you got to let them roll with it. You got to make sure that they get more of that, as much of that as they can be. And then when they get to high school, they're getting ready to go to college, whether they play sports in college or not, that's not even a big deal to me. What you want them to do is be able to take all those lessons they learned before and to move forward with their lives. And when they get to that college campus, it's going to be the same thing. You're not there. You have no idea what they're going through or who they are, but you know who you sent to college. And they're going to be different when they come back from there, but they're going to have that skill set of knowing who they are and being able to mix in as who they are. They're going to take some of those people that they met while they were coming through sports all the way up from, 5th grade, 5-year-old to 17-year-old, whatever they were doing back then, all those friends they made, all that, they'll take a few of those with them, but they're going to get even more as they move forward in their lives. And can they put a group together that have some ideas and they can all work on together, because that's the future. And I'm living it right now with my company right now. Is I partner with some of the greatest people in the world, and I've turned down some really good opportunities because I didn't want to work with that group. And I always remember, and this is what your kids are going to remember as you move forward, because we're always lecturing them, right? But they're going to remember little things. I remember things from my granddad, who's been gone for quite a while, but he used to tell me, don't do business with somebody that thinks they're doing you a favor. If there's not something that they need from you, or they would like to have you around as the person, then don't do business with them. I know it's going to sound good and you're going to want to do it, and it doesn't matter what the money is. You don't do business with people that think they're doing you a favor. So I don't know if I convince you guys at all, but that is my argument. And the other thing is, I always think about stuff like this is, what would be the ultimate school? So here's my thought on that. Imagine if your kid could go to a school where you go in, maybe you go a couple of weeks before, and it's wide open. You can go in and there's classes for art, for STEM, for automotive, for woodwork, for theater, for whatever it is. They know, they got a list of things that they can go into. They can walk into that class the first day, and that is their class that they're interested in at that time. But every single class you go into, especially if you're little, right? You're kindergarten to the 5th grade. When you go into those classes, for 3 months, you're going to be in that class. But every single class, every single discipline is working on, let's say you're in art class. You're going to go and pick up a piece of paper. You're going to do drawing today, right? Let's say it's drawing. But you're going to learn math. You're going to learn English. You're going to learn all the things you need, the reading, writing, arithmetic, right? You need to find those things. Every class can teach those things. Hey, you got to go pick up a piece of paper. You can pick up a triangle. You can pick up a rectangle. You can pick up a square piece of paper. It doesn't matter. You go pick it up, and when you get on your desk, what are the sides? A square is even on all 4 sides. A triangle, all of those things. You got to measure those things out. You got to write what those are. So that's your spelling lesson. You got to say you're doing art. You got to put all these colors. Your primary colors, your secondary colors. Now, what if you did that in every single class? You're still learning, but you're in something you were interested in, something you wanted to try out. And then after 3 months, if you don't like that class or you want to try another one, you can move to another class. And so every single class, no matter what you got into, it is teaching you all of the reading, writing, arithmetic. You're in something that you want to do, and you just keep moving around like that all through your elementary school years. That would be a cool school to be at. And then you could try different things, and you have to move out. If you've done this too many times in a row, we might move you over here from art. Maybe you go take a STEM class, right? You're in science, technology. Anything that you're in, we're going to make it fun, but we're going to make that class artistic, right? You're in STEM, you're in a math class. What can we do with math that becomes art? And we can figure that part out, but you're still doing reading, writing, arithmetic. It's all fun, right? And so that would be a cool school. And so it may be the school for the kids that are struggling, but every single kid, one piece of the day, they have to go sit in front of a computer. And there's a computer program that is going to find out who they are and help them keep up and catch up. It's going to give them some questions, some tests. It's going to find out how they learn. Are they visual? Are they audio? Do they like long? How do they learn? And the computer will understand that, and how to take that, let them get their lessons they need, but bring them back to the test or the practical world so they can see how to use this and they can pass the test. That would be a great school. You're doing what you want to do most of the day. You got about 45 minutes, an hour, where a computer is going to go in, kind of do an assessment, but in a fun way, because it knows who you are and what you're interested in and what you like to do. And it's going to make those assessments and kind of get you back on track if you're falling behind. Now you don't have that kid in those bottom 8 in that 30-person room. Now those bottom 8 kids, that computer, nobody else is watching them. They don't have to get embarrassed in the class and then act out. They can just sit there, and that thing's going to be fun. What are you interested in? Cars? Are you interested in? And whatever you're interested in, the computer can understand that, and it'll ask you questions, and you're interacting with the computer. But the rest of the day, you're interacting with your classmates. You still have PE, you still have recess, you still have lunch for that social piece of it. But this is where I think school also becomes fun, because you know you can catch up. You're not behind. Your test scores are just fine. And if you're struggling, really struggling, now somebody else can see it, because when you're working with that computer, it's going to say, hey, we may have an issue here with this kid with math, or we may have an issue here with their reading. They're not keeping up, whatever's going on. And really, for me, the biggest thing would be not necessarily having homework when you go home, or if the homework is on the computer again, you're going to spend time with the computer. That could be the homework, and that might be fun for them for like 30, 40 minutes. They shouldn't be bogged down all day. And then they're going to be able to use, because I'm getting really good with the AI stuff, right? I haven't used it necessarily for the things that I'm doing now. I like to be in person and when I'm doing business, but I can write almost anything out now. I can get information that I want, and I understand technology enough to know that a computer is not a human being. It doesn't think like us. So the ideas that you have, it doesn't have. It can't figure those out. You have to feed it what it needs to know to give you what you want out of it. And that is a skill until itself. And your kids are going to have to be able to do that too. They're going to have to be able to articulate their ideas and then get them across. Anyway, I can go way down a rabbit hole on this. All this stuff is exciting to me. But this is also stuff for you as a parent to figure out. Who is your kid? How do I keep them interested and motivated and know who they are and make sure that they're getting as much of that as they want? And they will change through the years. They might like this right now, but they be more interested in that because they're introduced to stuff. That's your job, to introduce them to new things. And as they get a little bit older, junior high school, they'll hang around with their friends a little bit more. And so they'll get introduced to stuff that you're not even thinking about. And so you're going to know about that. But one thing I know about kids is as time goes on, they talk to us less and less and less, because what they understand is no matter what they say to us, they're going to get a long speech, kind of like the one I'm doing right now, to be perfectly honest with you. But they're going to get that long speech, so they say less because they don't want that interaction with you. They want to go do what they want to do, and mom and dad are just in the way a lot of times. But if you start it off early enough, you got it made. And then the final piece I would say, hey, what about the high school kids, right? I kind of let that kind of mill through. Well, it's the same thing we're trying to do with AthleticSOS. If you use AthleticSOS, they can go in and find those schools they qualify for. Then they're going to research those schools, and they're going to find a school that fits them. Stay out of their way. Give them the code to log in, and let them go find the schools they actually qualify to attend, and then let them find a school that fits them. And then you guys have that discussion. Does that make sense? How much does it cost to go there? How far away is it? Why do you want to go there? What is it that you see that's interesting? Those are the ways that they can be in an environment that they're going to love to be in. Whether they play sports and something could happen and they don't get to play, they still want to be there. That's a great school for them to go to. That is the key school for them to go to. It's not high NCAA and all that kind of stuff. All of those rules are changing too. Your kid's a great athlete, no matter where they go now with the NIL and the ability to make money off of social media. They don't need necessarily to go to the top school. Things are going to spread out now. Now, in the Big Five conferences, they're going to be able to pay those kids starting 2025, 2026 school year. So they're going to be able to give them money, plus give them the scholarship, plus there's NIL, plus your kid may have their own academic stuff. They can get started on making money on the side while they're still going to school, and maybe they still have to get a job. Maybe it's not fixed yet. So they're going to have that job, but they're going to have this head start, this on-ramp to making money away from the job. And they're going to meet all these different people, and they're going to be able to group together. All these young people grouping together is going to be the cool part. And then they're going to create their own thing. So anyway, that is what we're trying to do. I hope I made the valuable argument. I didn't say that it was, you don't put your kid in school, and I don't care if it's private school, home school, magnet schools, charter schools, public school, whatever it is, that school cannot, you're not there. And that school can only do so much with 20, 30 kids in the classroom, one teacher in there, maybe a teacher's aide, depending on what kind of situation you're in. And even in private school, that one-on-one and that ability to fit in a private school, because they can leave you there or they can take you out. As long as you're paying, it's all good. Your kid is separated from the other kids that might cause problems, because in private school, they can put you in, they can take you out anytime they want to. All those are artificial environments. In a real world, there is that 8 here, and then everybody else sitting in the middle. That's really the way it's set. So third, and then or a fourth, and then the big piece in the middle. And so that is where we are now, but that's not where we want to be. We're going to be in the future. So I just want to emphasize youth sports. Not that I'm a shield for youth sports. I just see the value in it that's way beyond playing the sport. All right, guys, we'll talk next week. I'll get a little bit more into, we're sort of in the middle of summer. I see some people kind of making a few mistakes, trying to figure out where should I be right now. I got some ideas for you guys, and we'll talk about it next week. Talk to you later. Bye.